is our update on bonds and budget overrides and capital improvement projects. So is that Mr. Haggerty?
Thank you, Madam President. Let me see if I can share this screen. It says I am. Everybody can see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, fellow employees, and honored guests, if there are any that are joining us this evening. We have a requirement that we have to present information on how we spent money that was authorized by our taxpayers every year in our bond, our capital override, and our M&O override, and that's what we're going to be doing this evening. Excuse me. And we're going to have a few wrinkles this year, and not unusual for our COVID year, right? So the main funds that we're going to be dealing with are our capital fund, also known as district additional assistance, our bond fund, builder renewal, which is money we get through the school facilities board, and our new construction fund that we get through the school facilities board also for the building of our new school, EFGA. Big red letters. This is the wrinkle that I mentioned. We have opportunities that we can charge some of these capital funds to that will affect the presentation I'm making tonight, but it's always being done in arrears. In other words, all these grants, opportunities that we're applying for, we may have to go back and journal data into the prior year into some of these grants, depending upon how much they are and what qualifies for them. So, and I'll explain what some of that means. We've got basically, we start off with a Fema grant, and these are in order of what's the most difficult to get the money out of. There is money available. It's there's a DEMA and a FEMA. The DEMA is the state portion of the FEMA grant, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and they have certain expenses that are allowable under this program, and they're primarily focused on what it takes to get us through a tragic event. And this coronavirus is new to them too, so they're kind of winging through some of their work also. This grant is going to be applied for by December 1st, and it allows for 75% of allowable expenses. It's the most stringent grant available, so we will apply any qualified expenses to this first. And this is also a recommendation that was made to all districts in order to maximize any of these grant funds that are available. Now, the Enrollment Stability Grant starts March 1st and it runs through December 4th. So again, expenses that we incurred last year to purchase items, qualifying items, go into this grant. And this grant, the world as we know it under this grant ends December 4th. So this is the next one that we would apply any qualified expenditures to, but we don't know what this amount is yet because it's going to be based on what we're looking at 5% over our weighted average membership as of the 40th day, which does not occur until October. So the grant was actually filed today, and we'll keep the board posted on what this looks like. But right now, all we know is we've applied for it. We've put in a lot of expenses that we believe qualify. They're going to review it. They're going to go through their calculation after they get our 40th day numbers, and they're going to tell us how much we have available to spend. Excuse me. And then the last one is the CARES Act, which we've already been awarded, even though the dollar amount is not 100% verified yet, but it's about $1.1 million. And again, this is the broadest one. So this is the one we're going to fill up last also because it runs all the way to September of next year. So we still got 12 months of expenditures that, again, apply to the meeting the needs of our staff and students that we can run all the way through next year. And just to give you a quick example of what some of these things can be, we bought spraying machines for disinfecting. We bought additional instructional materials and supplies that went home. We have $800,000 of Chromebooks that are currently residing in the Enrollment Stability Grant, but may end up a portion of that being moved to a different grant, depending upon how much money comes out in these grants and what that looks like. So, you know, we sent a lot of computers home, or the Chromebooks. So we'll keep you posted on that. But all this is to say, we're going to file and bring to you in October an annual financial report that we're going to have to file a second time once all these things get settled. So the one thing we know for certain is that nothing's for certain yet. So with that, we'll move into the capital fund 610, which is our base capital fund. It was established years ago under what used to be called soft and unrestricted capital. They combined those things, called the district additional assistance, so it matches what charters get as charter additional assistance, just a name only, because the charter additional assistance is substantially more than we get. But when they ran into trouble, the state started reducing the amount in this formula. And the base formula is already well over 20 years old and has never been adjusted for inflation. So that reduction last year cost us close to $1 million. Now, we have also in place a 10% capital override. And we just got that passed in 2018. This will remain in effect for 7 years. So it'll take us through 2025. Last year, that generated close to $4 million for us. But what does that mean in real terms? You can look at it. This is a graph of just the override dollars that were generated over the years for this district. The amounts that you see at a level, this was $900,000 a year from the 9-10 fiscal year through the 12-13 year. And this was to give us money to help us with all of our capital as a growing district, because the state funding formula was just never enough. But as the state started making reductions to the capital they were even allowing for us, this district went out for a capital override based on 10% of the base amount. And what you can see what that occurred as our base amount goes up, as we acquired new students and all that, the amount that actually got funded into this override went up proportionally by that 10% amount. This was critical to us as a growing district. So what does that really mean? Well, what you see here is how much capital was provided in blue by the overrides. So you'll still see that same blue graph going across, but in red is what the state was providing us. And you can see how that number shrank over the years. This is a substantial amount of money that the state cut us as a district. And when you get into some of these years, you can see it was next to nothing, very negligible. Well, in 1819, they started coming back and starting to fund it again. And they're getting closer, but they're not there yet. So again, we still lost. You can see that red bar, how much they funded us. That's still $1 million short of what they were supposed to. So our capital override actually filled in the gap for the monies that were lost by the state reductions. So what do we use that money for? Well, we use it for our new technology, replacing, refreshing. We have to renew our software. We get new software licenses. We have new textbook adoptions. This past year, we had our English language adoption, instructional aids. We also use that money to help renovate our schools and for new school construction. What does that look like? Well, when you look at our, overall, we adopted English language last year, and it was very expensive. But that's okay. Again, we had the capital dollars to do that. Instructional aids, you can see the numbers up there. How much in technology? Our furniture and equipment was a fairly large number this year. Why? Because we had to furnish a new school also, EFGA. And then we had our construction. Let's see if I can. I'm still getting used to this split screen technology here. So excuse me for a moment. So we have NutriSlice, some of our district-wide tech, and also under construction, we pay for a lease that was we went into years ago that for all the solar panels that you see at most of our sites. Okay, now we also have the bond fund. Now, we're really grateful to our taxpayers for approving this bond, $42 million, and they passed that bond back in 2015. The first issue of that, and I know I reported on this to you last year and probably the year before that, the full $7.4 million was issued that went immediately to support the construction of Sail Point Elementary. Then last year we issued an additional $15.2 million in September of last year, and we spent $4.5 million of that in the 1920 fiscal year. So, excuse me, what does that mean overall? Well, you can look at, we're adding a new classroom addition at Cheatham. Now that it's a new classroom addition, but it's replacing portables. This is something the board approved last year, and we're not done, but we did spend some of the money on that last year. It was right around $1 million. It also, we used some bond money to support EFGA. Even though the state gave us money to help us on this school, it was not enough for the actual cost of the school because their funding formula supports bare minimum. And we built a school, I think, to a spec that is much greater than what the state supports financially. We used some of the money to help the lights at the David Glasser Field right next door to the district office. We're looking forward to the day where we can start utilizing that field again because we have a lot of community groups that are very interested in utilizing it. And then we did a preschool and parking lot over at Vista School. We bought some buses, about $1 million worth of buses, and again, more technology in here. Technology is a very big expense for us overall, but we use it because of our one-to-one, and we're very proud of being able to offer our students that one-to-one technology. So how do we pay for this? Well, we pay for it by taxing our local taxpayers. They vote to tax themselves. And the bond itself is based strictly on the secondary assessed valuation. That's what it's used for, to give us what our bond capacity is. And you can see back in 08, 09, we peaked out, but that's also the time of the crash and our assessed valuation. And even though rolling into this year, our assessed valuation has gone up dramatically, it has not come up to the level we were over 10 years ago. The other thing to note when you look at this slide is that there's always a lag. Again, we started in the recession in 08, 09, but there's a lag from when we see that actually in our assessed valuation numbers, which also means there's a lag as we get our recovery. So our recovery is coming in nice and strong, but what we see next year is actually what we experienced 12 to 24 months ago. So as you see all these new homes coming in and the commercial and industrial coming in, you will continue to see these numbers rise. So going into 2021, our assessed valuation actually increased by $41 million. Not up to where we were before, but we're going in the right direction. So where are we going to be spending the money going forward? Well, back in 2013, the legislature gave us the ability to increase our bonding capacity from 5 to 10%. That's good because that gives us the ability to issue these bonds that the taxpayers did approve for us. And we issue those, we have to do it within a 10-year period. And right now our projections show we should be just fine managing all of that. We haven't planned the next one yet, but we will do that when we have a need. What are the needs going to look like? Well, here we go. We need another school. The state can look at us and say, we think you need another school in the future. And I'll talk about that again in a moment. But that doesn't mean they have to fund it. They just agree with us that we need the school. I think we got really lucky this last go around because the old formula for the state said we will fund a school for you, maybe, if you're over capacity. But they did give us a little window of time where we didn't have to be over capacity. So we were able to slip in that window, was where we got the funding for school number 9, EFGA. We don't know if that'll be available by the time we're going to come around to building school number 10. So we still have to acquire land. Based on what we're looking at, there's a number of parcels that we still have to acquire before we're fully built out, and we need to accommodate all those students that are coming in. We're going to finish up the cost of replacing those modular units over at Cheatham, and that preschool building that we're going to start on in Desert Meadows coming up here soon. We'll continue buying more buses, and again, continue with our refresh and expansion of our technology program. So I mentioned that the state started phasing out their reductions in 1819, but this little hiccup that we had, we were supposed to actually have zero reduction going into 2021, but unfortunately we had that little hiccup with the state budget, COVID related, and so we still have about a $500,000 reduction. Now, every year we bring to the governing board a list of priorities over a 5-year period. Do those shift? The answer is yes, because we are trying to make sure we're planning ahead so that we're reserving ourselves properly. We're issuing bonds when we need to, but those priorities can change over time because things can change over time. So every year we bring to the board a revised capital plan based on how we prioritize projects at that point in time. Now, the Building Renewal Fund, these are monies that we get through the School Facilities Board. Again, we used to get a funding formula that was repealed. And they used to give the money to the two districts so we could maintain our facilities, but that got repealed back in 2013. So we don't get any money unless it's through a grant. In 2020, we got $86,000 in building renewal grants. They were mostly small projects. And again, frankly, we are very fortunate here as a district because we've got mostly newer buildings. So the grants that we need from them are minimal compared to many of the districts that are out there. So, but we're grateful for any money we get. And Robert and his crew did a great job of getting us the 86,000. The new school construction, again, I've talked about you had to be over capacity before. And now we were able to slip through a little window opened up by the legislature, and we got that 14.6 million to help us. The real school cost was substantially more than that, but we also got a little assistance from the city to help build that park to the tune of about $2.3 million. SFB, the last capital plan they've issued to us, and it's going to be updated again here soon, conceptually approved for a new school in 22-23. They're going to take the data that we gave them here during the summer, and they're going to look at that and compare it to their demographic work, and they're going to tell us what they're going to conceptually approve as for going forward. Again, they can conceptually approve anything. Funding is the key, and that's where we always have to make sure that if they open any windows, we jump right through it. But if they don't, I think with our bond money, I think we're in a pretty good place to still be able to address any of the future growth that we're dealing with. Now we're going to shift gears over to the M&O. Again, we're very grateful to our taxpayers because they've been very supportive of this district. And we have a 15% override that is in effect. The last one was approved in 2016, and we're on the ballot here coming up in November for another renewal of that override. Last year, that generated $5.9 million for us. So you can see how important this override is. The good news is we can ask our taxpayers to renew this, and it will not increase their tax rates because it's continuing. So what do we use the money for that? For all-day kindergarten, art, music, PE, and elective programs. This is an ongoing program. This is where it comes from. And one of the most important pieces of this whole puzzle, competitive teacher and staff salaries. We want to make sure we can attract and retain employees. This is how we're able to do that. We've got one of the highest, if not the highest teacher salary schedule in the state. And I think it really goes a long way to say when we're out there recruiting, we can kind of thump our chest a little bit because I think we take a lot of pride in being able to offer starting teachers what we do. So, and again, that's going to, the renewed override expires in 22, but it's on the ballot. Hopefully we can get that approved and we'll see that extend another 5 years. And with that, I will stand for any questions from the board.
Great. Any questions, anybody?
No.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, and are there any people from the public online? Because we do have to offer them an opportunity to speak also. I can't tell, I know Butch or Eddie, if you guys can see anybody else online that, but if there are, just a quick pause so they can jump in if they have any questions.
They were given the opportunity to comment up until 11, ask any questions, and no one did.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on. Elodia, we're going to do roll call.
Make sure you guys are unmuted so that I can hear you. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Berrigan?
Here.
Mrs. Sanborn?
Present.
Mr. Serna?
Here.
And Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. You can stand with our flag.
Camera is.
All right, we'll go ahead and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recommended the governing board approve the minutes of the August 6, 2020 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
I'll second.
Did you get who was first?
I have Isaac and Kristen.
Okay. Just want to make sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Sprout.
Thank you, President Anderson and governing board members. Since the pandemic hit, all of our staff have been working outside their normal functions, from teachers moving all instruction online to bus drivers helping distribute meals in the community. There's not one group of employees who are doing what they expected to be doing this year. I am appreciative of everyone's willingness to work together to serve our families and our students. And thank you also to the governing board for your ongoing support. And now our employees of the month, the first employees of the month of the school year. And we are going to start with our classified employee of the month, Mr. Fernando Sanchez, lead custodian at Cheatham Elementary School. And by the way, I'm going to ask you to unmute in just a minute and we'll clap for Mr. Sanchez. Fernando is always ready to assist, even when the task may not seem to be within his job title. He provides support to teachers, administration, cafeteria employees, and technology, and always makes their day better. Fernando takes great pride in making sure the students have a clean environment to learn in and that the campus is functioning properly and beautifully. Mr. Fernando Sanchez, classified employee of the month. Thank you, Fernando. Our next employee of the month is also from Cheatham Elementary School, Christy Rogers, resource teacher and certified employee of the month. Christy is a loving and kind teacher. She has a calming spirit, and the care she has for her students is evident in everything that she does. She uses her creativity to motivate the students. She is always willing to step in and help others. She is happy to participate in parent meetings and attend school and district events. Certified Employee of the Month, Christy Rogers. Thank you to both Christy and Fernando for your service. Building on Levine's strong sense of community, the district has created a new committee that will support areas of need throughout the local community. The newly formed Levine Community Action Committee, LCAC, is comprised of educational institutions, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, and local community activist groups, and is charged with creating a community-based action plan to identify challenges and needs in the Levine community. The community is chaired by Community Engagement Coordinator, Dr. Joe Roselle, and work is in progress, including Ms. Ward being on one of the key committees. During the week of August 24th, Levine students participated in the NWEA's, that's our assessment that we use, MAP growth testing. All students were administered the math and reading assessments in 3rd through 8th grade, and students also in 8th grade, students also participated in the language assessment. Staff was readily available to help students needing technology support log in. By the end of the week, we had tested 95.5% of our students. That is almost 18,000 completed tests. The data from MAP growth helps our teachers understand what students know and what they are ready to learn. Our teachers continue analyzing the data and use it to help drive their remote learning instruction. You can imagine testing students online. And so I want to give a special shout out to our teachers who overcame some major challenges earlier in the week to finish strong. That also includes our coaches and administrative team. And I would like to recognize one specific person, data analyst coordinator, Nancy Ramirez, who oversaw this entire process. In fact, just so you guys know, Nancy has been asked by the Arizona school administrators as one of 2 testing coordinators in the state to present tomorrow at a statewide meeting on the logistics of remote testing. So that's huge. And thank you to Nancy and to all of our staff that participated in successfully completing our NWEA testing. Construction has begun on the new junior high Cheatham classroom building. You can see that 8-foot block walls have been completed and work continues on the 12-foot walls. And trusses were also delivered last week. We were very encouraged to see the weekly report for Levine's public health benchmarks today with dramatic improvements in cases per 100,000 and percent positivity. We are trending in the right direction to meet the public health benchmarks that would allow us to safely begin on-site learning. And we hope that becomes a reality at the start of the second quarter. In preparation, we will be surveying parents to reselect their choice for their children from the 4 learning options approved by the governing board in June. This will be followed by a preference survey for our teachers, and all of this will help us in our staffing planning. And now I will turn it over to our tech team for first classroom spotlight of the school year from Rogers Ranch School.
Good evening, President Anderson, governing board members, Dr. Sprout, and virtual guests. Although the learning platform has changed as we begin our 2021 school year, the quality of education on the Rogers Ranch campus continues to strive for educational excellence. My goal for you this evening is to take you on a journey into what digital learning looks like here at Rogers Ranch. Enjoy. Our mornings begin with a daily message from the principal. On the teachers' Google Classrooms, they are posting updates, announcements, and teachers are finding creative ways to get students engaged for their day of learning and holding them accountable for participation.
All right, I always like to start the day by going over our expectations, making sure we are all being positive and responsible and innovative and demonstrating excellence in our online classroom. Double thumbs up if you are ready to ride with pride today.
We know that in order to engage students to get them up in the morning to attend virtual school, we need to ensure we are engaging them in their learning. Because of the shift in the learning platform, what teachers are seeing and students definitely impacts student engagement.
Here we go. Haditha's in, giving me a thumbs up. Awesome. I'll get thumbs up. Xander's ready. Ajax is ready. Brianna's done. Awesome. Joanna's got it. Ezekiel's in.
Here are a few examples of how teachers are using student engagement within their classrooms.
Ms. Fergozo is going to say the phonogram first. If my hand is facing you, it will be your turn. Remember, I can see your lips moving. If your lips are not moving, that means you're not saying your sounds. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Miss Fergoso goes first. A, A, ah. Good job, Jacob. Ah, O, oo. G, j. Good job, Amelia. I can see your lips moving. Remember, we got to make sure we're looking at our phonogram. D. One more time. D. K. S. Good job, Tristan.
Missy is a very small mouse. Oh, wait, hold up. Number one. Let's look at number one. Missy is Missy a mouse or a cat?
A mouse.
A mouse. A mouse. So I'm going to select a mouse. Mouse is the answer, Landon. Mouse.
Real-time assessment is critical inside the virtual classroom in order to provide students with timely feedback and then to monitor and adjust the lesson to set students up for success.
What else? Looks like some of us are stuck on some questions. I'll go ahead and come back to the beginning and ask you if you are stuck on anything or if there was something you didn't understand or Mr. Z worded something. It's also going to ask you, when I give you a division sentence, it's going to ask you what number goes inside of your division box. Remember that it is the first number, and I will show you that in just a little bit. So just because the number is smaller doesn't mean that it can't go inside the division box. If it comes first, it comes first. You have to put it in the division box regardless, which I'll show you right now. I'm going to use your names. Good job, Aliani. So if you want to look at my screen really quick, I'll give you this example right here. This is what we're going to see today. So for example, if it tells you 3 divided by 90, 3 divided by 90, we're used to putting the larger number inside of our division box. That's not always the case. Sometimes we have to put the smaller number inside of the division box. If this was a fraction, if this said 3 over 90 and we were looking for its decimal, we would need to put 3 in the division box first. Well, if I give you a number sentence, which is when it's written from left to right, you would have to put the first number that comes first inside of the division box. So don't put 90. Don't get confused with that. That's probably what confused us the most. If you got something wrong, it's because I put the same thing. I gave you 3 divided by 90 and 90 divided by 3. On one of them, 3 would go in the division box. On the other one, 90 would go inside of the division box. So it makes a huge difference. All right, let's give it a try. Let's see, what did we miss? What should we study? How are you able to divide a fraction? You are able to divide a fraction by creating a reciprocal. That's what we talked about yesterday. You guys know that as keep, change, flip. I know that as creating a reciprocal. That's what it's called when you flip that fraction upside down. It's called creating a reciprocal. Let's see, what else should we study down here? Looks like that was really it. Looks like that's the most common missed one. And then the next one was, are you allowed to multiply a fraction? Yep, you can multiply a fraction. You just cannot divide a fraction. Sorry, it's loading my screen. That's okay. We'll go ahead and start it like this. All right, go ahead and give it a try one more time. Now it should make a little bit more sense.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share out answers because we've spent a bit of time on this. And I'm looking for students that put all of the parts in there. So I'm actually sharing out Tiana's. I'm going to
go in order of what it asked us to do. It says name the place value of the highlighted digit. So the 5 in number 8 is in the thousands place, the whole number thousands place. And then it says write the value. The value of that 5 is 5,000. That makes sense because the 5 is in the thousands place. So its value is 5,000. All right. And then the number 9, I hope you're looking at, hope you're thinking about what you wrote down and how your answer compares to the ones you see on the screen.
Teachers are continuously modeling putting our students first by connecting with students and building relationships to ensure we are reaching the social, emotional, and academic goals of every child on our campus.
Right? Of course you remember. We talked about it last week. Do you remember what that word meant? I know you do. I just know you do. You're right. It means that we're all different from each other. Okay, what do I think about that word? It's what? It's great. It's good. No, you're right. It's awesome. So this week I want to talk a little bit.
My teachers have taken on the Digital Learning Challenge, and I hope you will agree with me that they are an incredible representation of the quality of educators that we have here in the Levine Elementary School District. They are intentional with their planning and the implementation of their lessons. I am beyond proud to be the principal here at Rogers Ranch School. We are Rogers Ranch, adventure awaits, charging forward together, positively impacting the trajectory of the students within our community. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
And I have nothing other than we are, she said proud, we are honored to be with these, to have these teachers in our district. You just got a small picture of what's happening all over with 400 teachers right now doing outstanding work for our community. And so thank you to Rogers Ranch, to Ms. Hamburg, her staff, as well as the rest of our schools and staffs. We are so greatly appreciative. Thank you, President Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely better to see it in person. I miss that in-person handshakes, but it's great to see how well teachers are embracing this opportunity with the virtual learning. So thank you very much for that. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. It is requested that the governing board approve the consent agenda items as submitted. Do I have a motion?
So motion. I'll second, Jill.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to all right, so it is requested that the governing board discuss and may consider action to approve the Arizona School Boards Association draft 2021 political agenda and direct the district's delegate, Michelle Anderson, to the ASBA Delegate Assembly to represent the board's determined positions on the 3 ASBA events. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. It is recommended the governing board approve the Dean of Students evaluation instrument.
Motion. So moved.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. It is recommended the governing board approve the new bus driver trainer position.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, comments from the board.
I was happy to see also the metrics for Levine looking a little bit better, actually a lot better, significantly better. So fingers crossed things will continue to go in that direction and folks will continue to do what they need to do to make sure that we can get kids back in school. And then I don't know if Mrs. Hamburg is on the phone call or not, or the meets, but very, very impressed. Obviously not just with, what's happening there in the classrooms, and that was extremely impressive. And I'm sure you could have picked on any of the teachers at Rogers Ranch or in any of our campuses, but just the professionalism of that video and how well it was all put together. Yes, like Michelle said, it's much better obviously to be there in person, but that was extremely well done. So please pass that along to Mrs. Hamburg for me.
Great. Any other comments?
I agree with Jill about the presentation. Our first spotlight, what a fantastic job they did. And if it's anything, just a little capsule of what the kids are getting, they're so lucky. They just are so fortunate.
Our teachers continue to just shine during this difficult time. Thank you guys for the leadership and pass on also. Same like Jill said, that was amazing.
And Ms. Hamburg is watching, and so I know that she told me she would be watching, and say thank you to all of you for your support that has resulted in this great work. So,
Isaac, do you have any comments?
The only thing I would like to add is, I'm so thankful that our community has come together, staff, teachers, students, parents, especially our students, and change is difficult, but this is the things, these challenges will make them successful, because when you face challenges and you face difficulties, it only makes you grow. And I'm so proud. Some of the other districts, I feel for them. Parents are in uproars and talk about their kids are crying, but if they can't face difficulties and challenges, how are they going to progress? So I'm so thankful for our community, our staff, our teachers, especially our students. So thank you.
Did you have something else, Karen?
I just wanted to ask that I know initially I toured all of the schools. Is there a possibility to, without making teachers uncomfortable and without maybe students knowing that a guest is in there, to see how this all works? I would love to see it in action. Oh my gosh.
We would be more than happy to do that, and we will contact the board. And if any of you are interested, we will give you a tour and allow you to see that. Obviously, that would be a wonderful thing for our staff. So we'll work with you to set that up.
So much.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, I definitely have heard some really great things in the community about what all the teachers are doing. So I just wanted to give a shout out to just all of the administrators who are working through all the little issues and taking the time and the patience to help parents and kids with all the difficulties they may have. And that video that was shared was great to see all the different ways you can still do some engagement with the kids online that you would probably do in your classroom. So just keep at it. You guys are doing a great job. I've heard some really great comments within the community too. Just what a great job you all are doing. So thank you. All right, with that, we have a regular meeting of the governing board held on October 1st. All meetings will be held at 5:30 in the Levine Education Center, located at 5000 West Dobbins, Levine, Arizona. right, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, motion carries. All right, guys. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Have a nice long weekend.
Yes.